I don't even know where to start because the beauty world has officially lost its mind. Imagine paying $250 for four tiny eyeshadow pans or $160 for a single lipstick. And yet, some people aren't just buying it, they're defending it like it's sacred. This is the world Louis Vuitton created when they dropped their luxury makeup line with Pat McGrath. At first glance, it seemed like just another expensive launch from a legendary fashion house. But beneath the glittering packaging, something far more chaotic was brewing. This wasn't just a release, it was the perfect storm where influencer egos, fan loyalty, and questions of trust collided in ways the internet hadn't seen in years. From the moment the first PR boxes hit influencers' doorsteps, the drama was inevitable. The packaging alone screamed luxury. Gold trims, heavy embossed cases, no shade names. An experience designed to feel exclusive. Glamzilla opened hers and praised the design, raving about the bougie details. And that's when people started noticing a pattern. Some influencers got these glamorous boxes for free, while others, like NikkieTutorials and James Charles, had to buy everything themselves, sometimes for over $1,000. Suddenly, the conversation wasn't about makeup. It was about who got privileged access and whether loyalty to a brand could outweigh honesty in a review. The first wave of public reaction split almost immediately. Nikkie bought the products herself, expecting luxury, expecting pigment, expecting an experience that matched the sky-high price tag. Instead, she found herself frustrated, especially with the eyeshadow palettes. The shades felt weak, the payoff underwhelming, the effort required to get any real color excruciating. Her words were biting. They should have called it a whisper of pigment. The internet ate it up. People nodded, laughed, and some even cheered her bravery. Finally, someone had spoken the truth without a PR filter. James Charles followed a similar path. He went to the store, purchased the palettes himself, and gave a review that bordered on disbelief. $23 per shade, and barely any payoff. There are drugstore palettes with more pigment than this, he said, shaking his head in a mixture of shock and amusement. For viewers, this was validation. Here were two of the biggest names in beauty willing to risk backlash to give their honest opinions. But the storm wasn't over yet. Enter Jeffree Star. Jeffree, long known for his love of Louis Vuitton, received a PR kit. Immediately, his tone was different, a mix of awe and delight. The packaging, the weight, the feel in his hands, it was an experience he couldn't help but praise. "This isn't makeup, it's a statement," he said. And suddenly, the internet split in half. Comments exploded with, "He's lying. His brush was preloaded. He's covering for them." Jeffree pushed back, calling the claims ridiculous and suggesting that some influencers' negative reviews might be more about personal grudges than the product itself. And then, the history began to surface. Nikkie's past tension with Pat McGrath years ago became a talking point, fueling rumors about why she didn't receive PR. Was this just a luxury brand being selective? Or was there bias, favoritism, a shadow of old disputes coloring the present? The answers weren't clear, and that uncertainty fueled even more discussion. Reddit threads, TikTok videos, YouTube comments, it felt like a battlefield. Each side armed with swatches, invoices, and accusations, all trying to prove who was honest and who was lying. For many viewers, this was mesmerizing. The story wasn't just about overpriced makeup anymore, it was about trust, influence, and power. Who could be believed? The influencer who bought everything themselves, risking both money and credibility, or the one who received it for free? Their joy suspect, their praise questioned. It was an elegant drama unfolding, with each new comment adding another layer of tension. And just when the narrative seemed to be settling, the pigment controversy ignited again. Some people claimed that PR kits were somehow more pigmented than retail versions. Others accused influencers of preloading brushes or swiping excessively to exaggerate the payoff. Jeffree addressed it with characteristic bluntness, showing his own palettes again, insisting the pigment was real, and hinting that some negative reviewers might have chosen the wrong shades to make a point. The clash of perspectives spiraled, drawing in fans and smaller creators eager to weigh in. As the dust settled on initial reactions, the second wave of chaos hit. Comments under Jeffree's videos exploded with scrutiny. Fans compared swatches obsessively, arguing about who was telling the truth. "Jeffree approved this, now I know we should only trust Nikkie," one comment read, sparking debates that stretched across YouTube, TikTok, and Reddit. Influencer fans picked sides, citing past history, PR access, and even personality clashes as evidence of bias. The internet was relentless, and the lines between objective review and personal vendetta blurred faster than anyone could keep up with. Meanwhile, Nikkie stood firm. She emphasized that she had purchased the products with her own money and wasn't influenced by PR perks. Her review didn't just highlight pigment issues, It questioned the very value proposition of the collection. For $250, this palette should deliver everything a true luxury product promises, she said, holding nothing back. And when she called the collection a whisper of pigment, viewers didn't just nod. They erupted. They had been waiting for honesty in a world full of free luxury giveaways and carefully curated social media performances. James Charles, too, reinforced this sentiment. Buying the products himself, he tested them thoroughly, noting how each shade failed to live up to the hype. Yet, even in his critique, there was a hint of awe at the packaging and craftsmanship, a reminder that this wasn't just about makeup, but about a carefully constructed image of luxury. His followers weighed every word, parsing praise from criticism, trying to decide whether to trust him, Jeffree, or Nicki. The tension wasn't just in the products, it was in credibility itself. Jeffree, unwilling to back down, doubled down. He rebought the rest of the collection to prove a point. The pigment was there, the luxury experience was valid, and the negativity was overblown. In a single TikTok unboxing, he demonstrated the payoff, adding subtle jabs at Nicki's earlier claims. Maybe she's still holding on to past grievances, he suggested, hinting at old drama with Pat McGrath that might explain her harsher tone. Fans noticed immediately. The personal history added another layer to the debate. This wasn't just about makeup anymore. It was about relationships, loyalty, and influence in the beauty community. Then came the commentary explosion. Smaller creators began jumping in, testing palettes themselves, uploading side-by-side comparisons, and dissecting PR versus retail versions. Threads across TikTok and Reddit stretched into thousands of comments. People debated whether influencers on PR lists were receiving better products. Was Louis Vuitton manipulating perception to protect its image? Was the internet reading too much into what could simply be inconsistent palette? The questions piled up faster than anyone could answer. And the drama didn't just stay in the reviews. Viewer discussions began to focus on broader issues: credibility, trust, and the cost of influence. If $250 for 4 eyeshadows causes this much controversy, what does it say about the beauty industry? One user asked. Another argued, this is what happens when loyalty to luxury brands outweighs honesty. The internet isn't fooled. Though fans were no longer just watching for makeup, they were watching the psychology of influence unfold in real time. Amid this chaos, Louis Vuitton stayed silent, letting the drama play out. Their strategy was genius. Every negative review, every accusation, and every PR debate only amplified interest in the collection. People who had never considered spending hundreds on luxury makeup were now debating whether to buy it themselves just to see what the fuss was about. The beauty world had created its own viral marketing machine, and it didn't even realize it. Yet, even with all the drama, some influencers reminded viewers that there was still room for personal preference. A few praised shades they loved, subtle details in the packaging, or the excitement of owning a rare collection. But these comments were quickly drowned out by the louder voices accusing bias, favoritism, or dishonesty. The story had grown beyond makeup, transforming into a social experiment. How far will viewers go to defend or attack influencers? By now, the narrative was clear. This was more than a makeup launch. It was a collision of personalities, expectations, and the obsession with luxury. The drama had returned the beauty community to a place many hadn't felt in years. A space where the conversation was just as much about the people as the products, where trust was currency and every swipe of a brush could spark debate. As the comment sections filled with comparisons and accusations, the situation took a more personal turn. Fans weren't just debating pigment or price anymore. They were questioning motives, alliances, and loyalty. Every phrase from Jeffree, Nicki, or James became scrutinized, dissected, and debated. Some viewers argued that Nicki's harsher tone stemmed from past grievances with Pat McGrath, while others claimed Jeffree's glowing praise was less about experience and more about protecting his status on the PR list. Social media became a chessboard, and every post, video, or tweet was a move in an escalating game of influence. Jeffree leaned into the chaos like a seasoned player. In follow-up videos, he tested palettes multiple times, showing the payoff, the blendability, and even teasing subtle shade differences between PR kits and retail items. The pigment is here. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise, he insisted, all while hinting that some negative reviewers may have selected the least impressive shades intentionally. The subtle digs didn't go unnoticed. Viewers picked apart every sentence, searching for hints of bias or hidden truths. Meanwhile, Nicki and James stayed firm, reiterating that they had purchased the products themselves and weren't beholden to PR perks. Nicki especially emphasized that honesty mattered more than luxury experience. She wasn't swayed by packaging, prestige, or brand history. Her words resonated with a large portion of the audience who felt tired of influencer obsequiousness and wanted authenticity over spectacle. This division created an invisible battlefield. Fans aligned themselves with either luxury loyalty or independent judgment. At the heart of it all, the real question lingered: who could be trusted? When reviews conflicted, fans found themselves weighing past behavior, personal history, and social media persona. Was Jeffree credible because he had been a longtime fan and collector? Was Nicki more trustworthy because she paid for everything herself? Or was the truth somewhere in between, buried under a pile of personal drama and PR politics? Every comment, every like, every share became part of a collective experiment in judging honesty and influence. Even as the conflict escalated, some influencers tried to calm the storm, reminding viewers that makeup is subjective and personal taste matters. But in a community obsessed with transparency and credibility, that message barely registered. The story had transcended products. The battle was now about trust, loyalty, and the fragile ecosystem of influencer culture. Louis Vuitton, meanwhile, remained silent, letting the storm amplify itself. By doing nothing, they turned controversy into marketing. Every review, every complaint, every heated discussion drove more attention to their collection. Fans who had never spent hundreds on luxury makeup were now curious, some even buying the products themselves to test authenticity. The brand's strategy was subtle but ruthless. Let drama do the advertising while remaining untouchable. At this stage, the narrative had grown beyond the individual player. It had become a mirror for the entire beauty community, revealing its flaws, obsessions, and vulnerabilities. The internet wasn't just watching the product, it was watching human behavior unfold in real time. Arguments over pigment, packaging, and became proxies for deeper discussions about power, credibility, and influence. The drama had reminded everyone that the stakes were never just makeup. They were reputation, trust, and social currency. And yet, in the middle of all this chaos, some clarity emerged. Viewers began to see patterns. Honesty mattered, personal investment carried weight, and PR perks could distort perception. The audience realized that no matter how luxurious the product, no matter how heavy the packaging, or how famous the reviewer, the human element, the personality, the motives, the past history, was inseparable from the review itself. It was a lesson in influence, authenticity, and perception that no luxury brand could buy. By now, the beauty community was reminded of an older era, a time when drama was less personal, less polarizing, and focused more on fun and product excitement. But this incident was different. It was a perfect storm of high prices, influencer rivalry, PR politics, and social media obsession, all colliding in a way that held the audience captive, unwilling to look away. Even as smaller creators entered the fray, testing products and offering their own insights, the core players, Jeffree, Nicki, and James, remained central figures in a story that transcended makeup. The world watched, commented, debated, and shared, turning a luxury beauty release into a multi-platform spectacle. And every swipe, every purchase, every opinion added another layer to a saga that seemed almost larger than life, proving that in today's beauty industry, drama sells just as much as product. In the aftermath, the beauty world was left to pick up the pieces, or maybe to just keep watching. Jeffree Star had defended his love for Louis Vuitton, proving the pigment and experience were real in his view. NikkieTutorials and James Charles had stood by their honesty, calling out what they felt fell short. And the audience? They were split, invested, and hooked. Every comment section, every thread, every TikTok became a courtroom of opinions, weighing credibility, bias, and personal taste. This wasn't just about $250 eyeshadow palettes anymore. It was a story about trust, influence, and the invisible rules of the beauty community. The PR lists, the personal histories, the brand loyalty. It all mattered as much as the product itself. Viewers had witnessed firsthand how a single luxury launch could ignite debates over honesty, favoritism, and integrity. And yet, despite the chaos, there was something captivating about it. It reminded the community of the early days of beauty drama, before controversies carried weighty consequences and before every opinion was dissected to death. Smaller influencers seized the opportunity to test, compare, and report, adding more layers to the story. Each new review sparked another round of discussions. Was this palette truly worth it? Was the experience enough to justify the cost? Could anyone trust a review coming from someone who got it for free? Every angle was explored, every perspective debated, and the drama lived on. And somewhere in all of this, Louis Vuitton had quietly won. The brand's silence allowed the spectacle to amplify itself. People who had never considered spending hundreds on makeup were now watching, discussing, and even buying, curious to see the truth for themselves. Inadvertently, the chaos became marketing, proving that controversy could drive desire as powerfully as product quality. But beyond the purchases and comparisons, the incident left the biggest question hanging in the air. What does luxury truly mean in a world where perception, hype, and influence dominate the conversation? Is it about craftsmanship, quality, or experience? Or is it about the story we tell ourselves when we swipe a credit card? The beauty community had just been handed a mirror showing that value isn't always tangible, and that the currency of trust is far more fragile than any lipstick or palette. For the audience, the takeaway was clear. Honesty matters. Investment matters. And ultimately, no matter how dazzling the packaging or how prestigious the brand, authenticity cannot be faked. In a world where $160 lipsticks can spark a war, perhaps the greatest luxury isn't the product, it's integrity. So, whose opinion do you trust? Are you siding with Jeffree, who treasures the luxury experience? Or Nikki and James, who defend honesty above all else? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let's see where the internet stands on this one. Because at the end of the day, it's more than makeup. It's power, influence, and drama all wrapped up in one gilded package. And remember, this isn't just a story about Louis Vuitton or Pat McGrath. It's a story about the beauty community, the fragility of trust, and how one single collection can reveal the highs, lows, and chaos of influencer culture. Keep watching, keep questioning, and keep asking yourself, in a world full of hype, who do you really believe?